In a land forgotten by maps, there was a forest. It was called the Woods of Eldoria. This was not a place of ordinary trees and simple streams. Here, the air itself hummed with magic. Ancient oaks with bark like wrinkled faces whispered secrets to the wind. Their leaves shimmered with a light that was not from the sun or the moon. The ground was a soft carpet of glowing moss, each step leaving a faint sparkling footprint. In this forest, the line between what was real and what was dreamed became thin. Dreams could walk in the daylight. Memories could be seen like ghosts, drifting between the silver-barked birches. It was a place where time did not march forward but danced in circles. The forest breathed. It was alive in a way that few could understand. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, painting the forest floor in shifting patterns of gold and green. It was a beautiful sight, but with the beauty came a deep and ancient mystery. Strange creatures with eyes of amber watched from the shadows. Flowers bloomed that could sing a soft, sad song if you listened closely enough. The streams did not just babble, they spoke in riddles, their waters holding reflections of futures that had not yet come to pass. To enter Eldoria was to step into a story that was already being written. A story where you were not always the author of your own chapter. At night, the forest transformed completely. The moon, a bright silver coin in the dark sky, poured its light down onto the woods of Eldoria. This was not normal moonlight. It was enchanted. It made the glowing moss shine brighter. It turned the dewdrops on spiderwebs into tiny glittering diamonds. The whispers of the trees grew louder, clearer, as if they were telling the grand tales of the world to the listening stars. It was under this enchanted moonlight that the forest's true magic was revealed. The air grew thick with possibility, and the scent of night-blooming jasmine filled every shadow with a sweet perfume. Anything felt possible here. This was a place of legends. It was a world woven from threads of starlight and whispers of hope. People said that if you walked deep enough into Eldoria, you might find a piece of your own heart that you thought was lost. Or you might find a destiny you never knew was waiting for you. The forest was both a sanctuary and a trial. It protected the pure of heart, but tested the courage of all who dared to enter its mystical depths. It was a living, breathing fairy tale, waiting for its next heroes to step onto the page and begin their adventure, a place where the impossible was just another part of the everyday wonder. One night, when the moon was full and bright, a young woman named Elara found herself walking through the woods of Eldoria. She had a brave heart, full of questions, and a longing for something more than her quiet village life. She followed a path of glowing stones, her feet making no sound on the mossy ground. The forest seemed to welcome her, its whispers turning into a gentle song. She was not afraid. She felt a sense of belonging, as if she had walked these woods in a dream 1,000 times before. Elara paused in a clearing where the moonlight was so bright it looked like a silver lake, its light pooling around the roots of an ancient willow tree. It was there she saw him. A young man named Kale stood by the willow, his hand resting on its gnarled bark. He looked up as she entered the clearing, and his eyes were the color of the forest at dusk. He was not from her world. Kale was a guardian of the forest, born of its magic, his life tied to the ancient trees and mystical creatures. He had a quiet strength about him, a stillness that seemed as old as the woods themselves. He had lived a life of solitude, watching over the forest's secrets. He never expected to see someone from the outside world wander so deep into his domain, especially not someone whose eyes held the same light as the stars above. Their first words were not spoken aloud. They were felt. A current of recognition passed between them, as if two halves of a long-lost song had finally found each other. Elara saw in his eyes a deep well of kindness and a loneliness that mirrored her own. Kale saw in her a fire and a spirit that the forest had only ever whispered about in its oldest stories. He took a step forward, and she did not move away. "You are lost," he said, his voice as soft as the rustling leaves. Elara smiled, a small brave smile. "I don't think I am," she replied. "I think I was looking for this place all my life." They talked for hours while the enchanted moon journeyed across the sky. Elara spoke of her world of bustling villages and predictable days. Kale spoke of his, a world of silent dawns and conversations with the wind. Their words were like threads, weaving a connection between two different lives. They discovered that their hearts beat to the same rhythm, a rhythm of hope and courage. Under the watchful eyes of the ancient trees, a love began to bloom. It was a love as rare and magical as the forest itself, a love that felt destined, as if it had been written in the starlight centuries before they were ever born. Their love grew like a rare moon-petal flower, beautiful but fragile in a world that did not understand it. The magic of Eldoria, which had brought them together, now presented them with challenges. The forest was not always kind. It had a dark side, full of shadows that writhed and creatures that guarded their territory with jealousy. The news of their love reached the ears of an ancient dragon, a beast of scale and fire who saw their bond as a disruption to the old ways. The dragon believed that the world of humans and the world of magic should never mix. It demanded that Elara leave the forest forever, or it would burn everything to ash. Kale refused to let her go. Elara refused to leave his side. Their love was not a fleeting feeling. It was a choice they made every single day. They decided to face the dragon together. Their journey took them deeper into the forest, through paths that had not been walked in 1,000 years. They traveled through the shadowed path, a part of the woods where the moonlight could not reach. Here, the trees had thorns as sharp as needles, and the air was cold with despair. Whispering voices tried to fill their minds with doubt, telling them to give up, that their love was doomed. But they held each other's hands, and their shared warmth was a shield against the cold. Their bravery was a quiet, steady flame. It was in the way Kale would clear the path for Elara, his strength a comfort in the oppressive darkness. It was in the way Elara would sing a soft song, her voice a beacon of hope that pushed back the menacing whispers. Their passion was not just in their stolen kisses under a sliver of moonlight, but in their shared determination. They believed in their love with a ferocity that matched the dragon's fire. They knew that their journey was not just about survival. It was about proving that love was a magic more powerful than any ancient curse or fiery threat. They finally reached the dragon's lair, a cavern high in the granite peaks that bordered the forest. The heat from the cave could be felt from a mile away. Fear was a cold knot in their stomachs, but they did not turn back. They stood before the mighty beast, small and fragile, but their spirits were unyielding. Elara looked the dragon in its molten gold eyes, not with fear, but with a fierce compassion. Kale stood protectively in front of her, his hand on the hilt of his sword, ready to defend their love to his last breath. Their combined courage shone brighter than any treasure the dragon hoarded. Facing the dragon, they did not fight with weapons. They fought with words, with the truth of their hearts. "Our love does not seek to disrupt your world," Elara said, her voice clear and strong. "It seeks to join it." Kale added, "It is a new magic, one born of two worlds becoming one." Their words were simple, but held a power the dragon had not felt in ages. It saw their sincerity. It saw the unbreakable bond that shimmered in the air between them. They made a promise, not just to each other, but to the ancient magic of the land. They promised to protect the forest together, to be its guardians, blending the wisdom of the human world with the magic of Eldoria. Their promises were more than just words. In the magical air of Eldoria, their vows took on a life of their own. As they spoke of their eternal commitment, a soft light enveloped them. The words became threads of gold and silver, weaving themselves into the very fabric of the forest. "I will be your courage when you are afraid," Kale vowed. "And I will be your hope when you are lost," Elara answered. Their promises settled on the leaves of the trees, sank into the earth and dissolved into the waters of the streams. They were now part of the forest's song, a permanent verse in its timeless story. Their love was bound to the land itself. Their journey had tested them, but it had also forged their love into something indestructible. It was stronger than dragon's fire and brighter than the darkest shadows. Their shared bravery and unwavering passion had proven that their bond was not a weakness but a new and powerful strength. The dragon, moved by their devotion, did not attack. Instead, it bowed its great head, accepting their promise and their place in the forest. They had not defeated a monster, they had won over a guardian. They had shown that true love does not conquer, it connects. It builds bridges between worlds that were thought to be forever separate. Time in Eldoria continued its circular dance, but for Elara and Kale, every moment was filled with an infinite sense of hope. Their love story became a new legend whispered by the ancient oaks. It was a testament to a love that was stronger than time and space, a love that could face any darkness and emerge victorious. It showed that true love is not about finding a perfect person, but about building a perfect bond, one promise at a time. Their love filled every corner of the forest, a constant glowing reminder that even when everything is against you, love is a magic that lasts forever.